Hello everyone, this is Jack with Let's Draw Today. Thank you so much for joining me and drawing with me today. In this tutorial, we are going to learn how to draw mountains. I'm using a reference photo of the mountains around Moraine Lake and Banff National Park in Alberta, Canada. Please don't feel the need to draw every little detail exactly like the photo. It's up to you whether you want to draw the picture exactly as I am, or put your own style and uniqueness to it. Starting with an HB pencil, begin to lightly sketch the outline of the top of the mountains. If you wish to change the shape or height of your mountains, that's perfectly fine too. Now sketch the outline of some clouds. In this picture, there will be a band of clouds going across the sky. Make sure to sketch very lightly. We want to identify the shape of our clouds with these sketched guidelines, but we don't want to leave the outline of the clouds in our final picture. Now we will draw some basic shapes to establish the presence of the mountains, trees, and lake. Begin with the mountain on our left side. Here, I'm sketching two steep formations along the shore of the lake. We will sketch some trees along the very bottom a little later. Sketch more of the lake's shoreline. Sketch a long, narrow path of snow to separate the left peak from the shorter peak next to it. Then sketch the slope of these two peaks all the way down to near the base. There is also a large area of smooth rock separating the trees from the bumpier, much rockier parts of the mountain. On the right side of our picture, there will be some tall evergreen trees along the lake. For now, we will just sketch the basic shape of this collective group of trees. From the perspective of the viewer, the trees will appear to be shorter in the center and get taller as they approach the right edge of the paper. This is because the center trees are farther away than the ones on the edge. Next, let's continue to add the basic shapes of the slopes and jagged surfaces belonging to these other middle peaks. A great way to do this is to look for similarities to common two-dimensional shapes. Here, I can see some almost pentagon or warped triangle type shapes. Now, do the mountains on the right side. Begin by making a line sloping down from the peak. We're also going to make this peak here on the edge taller too. Sketch a few more wiggly up and down lines, and then we have the basic shapes of our mountain landscape complete. We're still going to be working on the outline portion of our drawing, but now we're going to add some extra details. If you're not ready to add as much detail as you see me do here, you can leave some of this detail out and end up with a more suggestive type of drawing, but I'm sure it will still look nice. Let's begin by sketching some lines to give this left side a more rock-like texture. Continue to work your way up the left peak in a similar manner. At the summit, sketch several short vertical lines. Leave a little area here open for some snow. Although this is not going to be a very snowy mountain scene, there are small traces of snow and spots that hasn't melted yet. Continue to sketch the rocky surfaces of this left mountain. Make a few short horizontal lines close together for a shelf here and there. Also, like I said before, look for easily recognizable basic shapes. You might see some rectangle shapes or more triangle shapes. Sketch up to the left edge of the snowy slope. Keep at it with the next peak. I like to sketch these jagged edges along the slope near the very top, as well as other parts of the mountain. It does a lot to create a rugged, rocky appearance that is so necessary for mountains such as these. Okay, before I get ahead of myself here, I think it's important to establish the placement of some shadows, even though I still consider this the line portion of the drawing. Sunlight will be coming from the upper left corner, so that means shadows will be to the right of our peaks and any other tall rocky formations. Here we need to sketch a shadow that the left peak is casting onto this peak. You can also look for edges and rock formations and shade the surface that is farthest away from the sunlight. As I go back to shade this left mountain, I don't want to shade the entire right side. Rather, I want to be selective and shade portions of individual rock formations that make up the mountain. This is because a mountain is not made of flat surfaces. It has many rocky parts that stick out beyond other parts and are in the sunlight. I do want to put all of this left side in the shadow, since it represents the back side of another mountain peak that is not visible on our paper. Next, continue adding details and shadows to the rest of the mountain. The slope from this peak here really sticks out, so we should have a shadow on the surface next to it. For the parts of the mountains under these next two middle peaks, I'm just sketching a combination of extra line details and some shadows. We'll do the same thing for the peaks on the right. There's a huge shadow that this peak here is casting onto the surface next to it. Also, I've been keeping the direction of my pencil strokes very basic and consistent as I shade. All of this shading we have been doing up to this point is preliminary shading. It'll help us see where our darkest areas need to be when we do heavier shading later on. Now let's do a little more work to the base of the mountains and the trees. There will be a thin section of trees at this area around the base. Let's put some shading here under where we shaded earlier. All of the shoreline area should be in the shadow of the tall mountain peaks of the left. Begin sketching some very simple representations of the tops of the evergreen trees under the right peaks. It would be helpful to erase the top guideline from earlier first. Then begin sketching the sides of the trees in front, as well as the tops of some of the front trees that are shorter than the ones in back. Just a little more shadow areas are needed near the base, and I think that'll do it for now. Now that we have completed the line drawing of the mountains, the next thing to do is add some shading. I'm going to speed up the video a little more here, but you can still see my process, and even pause the video so you can shade too. And that is how you draw mountains. If you want to see this full tutorial at normal speed, and if you would like to get 10 of my full-length tutorial courses for free, click on the link in the description below this video for more info. If you found this video to be helpful, please like it, share, and subscribe to my channel. Be sure to click on the notification bell so you don't miss new videos. Thank you so much for watching, and thank you for drawing with me today.